3 weeks after sustaining injuries that should have kept her out of action for months, Kira Taves returned to training. Her body was bruised and scarred, yet her movements were precise, agile, and relentless. Alien observers studied her, multi-eyed Yalniks, multi-limbed analysts, all baffled. Human physiology was fragile, they argued, but here was a being defying every expectation. She climbed, leapt, and ran through obstacle courses with unmatched skill. Bloodied and exhausted, she crossed the finish line. That smile, half exhaustion, half defiance, told everyone watching that humans were unpredictable, stubborn, and terrifyingly resilient. 2 months later, the Coalition received a distress call from Taurus 7, a mining station under attack by pirates. Captain Rexnor assembled the strike team, but Kira arrived uninvited. She argued, logically, that they were short-handed and that her presence was essential. Plasma fire tore through the corridors, yet she moved like a shadow, slipping through narrow ventilation shafts that none of the other species could navigate. She emerged behind the pirate command post and, armed with only a knife and plasma pistol, dismantled the leadership. Alien soldiers gawked as a human single-handedly turned the tide of a mission, leaving casualties minimal and victory almost surreal. The sky darkened above the Coalition outpost as unknown ships decloaked. They struck with precision, targeting communications and power generators. Alien soldiers panicked as plasma fire and orbital bombardments pushed them back. Kira remained calm, her voice cutting through the chaos as she organized defenses and led survivors to the central command building, the last bastion. The battle escalated, walls melted, plasma scorched, and creatures advanced relentlessly. Every decision Kira made was calculated, fearless, and designed to protect as many as possible. Humans were fragile, yes, but their courage was unmatched. With enemies closing in, Kira devised a desperate plan: overload the outpost's fusion reactor to cover the team's escape. Corporal Jin volunteered to hold the door, buying crucial seconds. The team sprinted through tunnels, dodging plasma fire and collapsing walls. They reached the fallback bunker just as the reactor detonated. The explosion flattened everything in the surrounding area, yet the survivors huddled in darkness, safe but shaken. Human ingenuity and courage had turned imminent death into a calculated gambit. 3 days later, Kira was discovered at the epicenter of the blast, burned, broken, irradiated, and yet alive. Medics from 9 species worked frantically, unable to explain how she survived compound fractures, radiation poisoning, and burns covering 70% of her body. She had crawled nearly 200 meters to reach rescue teams. Her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, her toxic green eyes opening to reveal the same defiant, terrifying smile. Analysts realized that humans weren't just survivors. They refused to die, no matter the odds. Weeks later, Kira trained against holographic opponents, movements slower, but still deadly. Sweat dripped from her face as she ducked, parried, and struck with precision. She explained to the observing analyst, fear was a reminder she was alive. As long as she lived, she could protect others. Her philosophy was simple, yet terrifyingly effective. Survive, adapt, fight, and refuse to surrender. The alien observers began to understand why humans were dangerous, not because of strength or speed, but because of an unbreakable will and stubborn defiance of death. Months later, Kira led a small boarding team onto a derelict ship drifting in deep space. Darkness stretched endlessly, corridors narrow and foreboding. Shadows moved with impossible speed, attacking with claws and teeth that defied logic. Soldiers fell one by one. Kira pressed forward, confident, precise, leading them through maintenance shafts too tight for most species. Fear sharpened her senses. Every human reflex, every calculated risk kept them alive. She refused to stop, refused to retreat, and refused to die. On the bridge, Kira overloaded the ship's reactor. Explosions tore the ancient vessel apart, debris scattering through space. She and her team escaped in emergency pods, crashing into the CSS Valiant's emergency bay. Medics swarmed, but Kira emerged once more, battered, burned, yet alive. Her smile returned, and her words resonated with everyone. Humans weren't the fastest, strongest, or most armored. They were unpredictable, relentless, alive in a way no other species could match. Captain Kira Taves had defined the human edge, and the Coalition would never underestimate humanity again.